All right, hi everyone. Welcome to Mindgasms. I'm Andrew, aka Acid Blood Mindgasms, and we have the Nostromo Centrist and aka the Xenomorphic Centrist, aka Woke Centrist, Dusty Cubes and Dustin Cubit. And we're, of course, in honor of Halloween, going to talk about the original Alien movie, which, in my opinion, is the best sci-fi horror movie ever. And it's, of course, about a parasitic monster from an alien planet that infests a spaceship and a secret evil robot. So, yeah, I thought we should talk about a horror movie in honor of Halloween, and that's one of what I think is still holds up as one of the scariest ones. And yeah, so I guess to start off with, what's your opinion in general of the movie, Dusty?
Um, I'm not going to say it's my favorite in the franchise, uh, but it's definitely a solid movie. As far as it goes as the horror, um, that one is the best
Hmm.
because we have Alien 3, which is not as good as Alien 1,
Yeah,
but Alien 3 tries to capture the essence of the first Alien movie.
yeah,
I don't think it does it quite as well.
yeah, I agree.
But Alien 1, it was ahead of its time for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
And
which one is your favorite in the franchise?
And we're just going like the trilogy.
Any of them,
My
really.
favorite is probably the second one.
Okay. Yeah,
The camera one.
that's one of my favorites too. It's like you were alluding to there. It's more of more of like a sci-fi horror action movie, kind of more of a sci-fi action movie, really. But yeah,
Mhm.
I like what James Cameron did with it and made it different, and there were a lot of cool aspects of that too.
Right.
And yeah, I agree. The third one kind of tried to model the formula of the first one more, but didn't do as good of a job. I think if I remember correctly, I saw that that was David Fincher's first film. Pretty
Really.
sure I watched a video that someone made about that. It was really hard to get the third one made, and they had three different directors lined up, and two of them bailed, and then eventually David Fincher was, and his only work up to that point had been commercials, I think, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly.
Well, the
Yeah,
third one, I don't think it's a bad movie. I still enjoy
yeah,
watching it.
yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, that's the obviously like I think this movie came out almost exactly 20 years before I was born, but it's definitely still holds up, man. Like they didn't have CG and shit like that, so they had to do all of this really impressive visual looking stuff with visual effects, and they did a really good job. There are a few parts where it looks a little cheesy and unrealistic, like after the alien first pops out of the guy's stomach when it lunges off the table and goes away, that kind of looks like a puppet. And maybe at the end when the alien is outside of the shuttle, that looks a little fake, and one of the times it jumps, it looks a little fake. But other than that, everything that happens with the alien looks totally unreal, or totally realistic rather, and everything when they're on the alien planet, and especially the outside views of the spaceship, those shots look like they could have been filmed today. They were probably just filmed with models or miniatures or something like that, I bet. But yeah, it's really effective horror with the cinematography and the shots that were chosen by Ridley Scott too. And they have the alien in the shadows most of the time, which is effective for your budget, but it also makes it scarier the few times when it jumps out and kills people and you see it and all that kind of stuff. And then there's also that whole interesting subplot with Ash, played by Ian Holm, aka Bilbo Baggins from the original Lord of the Rings movies, where it turns out that he's a secret evil robot impersonating the humans, and he's received orders from what we know will turn out to be the evil corporation Wayland Industries that the crew is expendable and the priority is to pick up the alien to basically essentially use it as a bioweapon. So yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on in this movie.
Just as an aside, speaking of Bilbo Baggins, HBO Max has the Lord of the Rings trilogy extended editions. I've started watching them.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
So,
Have you seen them before? Have you not
I've
seen them before?
But I
Okay.
have them on DVD, so it's like standard definition.
Right. Okay.
So I'm
Yeah,
glad to
they're
see
great.
a nicer
I'm
visual
glad I
version.
got them on Blu-rays too.
Yeah. One of the things about the aesthetics in the Alien movies, at least on the sets and things like that. One of the things that's interesting is how outdated the tech is on the actual ships. Like they're using like old school monitors and knobs, and what's interesting too is when they make new films or new games based off of the Aliens franchise, they'll use that same aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You notice that too, that they're trying to copy it, but then in the prequels a little bit you can notice them kind of updating stuff a little bit, even though they try to mimic the style and stuff like that. And I remember years ago watching the special features on Alien, the monster and the alien spaceship and all that kind of stuff was designed by this really weird artist named H.R. Giger, who has this really gothic style of design of spaceships and monsters. So that became an integral part of what we associate with the Alien franchise too.
Yeah, H.R. Giger is pretty integral to the aesthetic as well, but his aesthetic is all about the aliens, the alien creatures. Like the design of the alien itself was basically ripped out of something that H.R. Giger previously did,
Mm-hmm.
like all the hallways and how the aliens start taking over an area and how that area looks is definitely heavily influenced by his art. But yeah, he
Yeah,
is
definitely.
a big influence on the design of the alien as well as like the environment that the alien creates to breed and stuff, and even just like pinning people up against the wall. That's like stuff that H.R. Giger has, like people stuck on walls and like really weird like sexual stuff. I know that
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not in this one, but um, it's really interesting aesthetic. And then for '79, you're like, oh wow, this is otherworldly the way these aliens look and their environment is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is kind of the there is kind of there are kind of some sexual aspects of the way that the alien reproduces basically too, because it has this little monster that looks like a giant hand and has a tail and jumps out at you, and then it attaches itself to the guy's face, and it basically kind of like, I don't know how it works exactly, but it kind of injects a fetus or something into the guy's mouth as it has its tail wrapped around its neck to cut off his oxygen supply, and then it goes into his stomach, and then it later comes out of his stomach, of course, too.
Yeah, because I know the face hugger, like it latches onto the face for a while, and then it eventually kind of dies off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it implants something into the host, so it's a parasitic form of reproduction. So it has to have a host to reproduce, and whatever host is chosen, materials to create xenomorphs matches. It's an interesting sci-fi twist that they added there. I don't know if that was from the inception of Alien itself, but it definitely you get to see that comes to fruition in the later movies where the aliens
Yeah.
infect other types of things. Because I know in Alien 3, That's when it infects like a dog, so it has like different abilities from the xenomorphs that you see previously.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then it's cool too that what they did with the prequels was they built on that, just that little part where they're in that alien spaceship on the alien planet, and they see that there's this giant humanoid alien that's been long dead, and then they build on that in the prequels, and it turns out that these giant humanoid aliens created the humans, and they also created the aliens, and then they uh, that kind of defied the mythology in the first AVP movie, which came previously, which said on those runes in that temple built by the Predators that the Predators built the aliens to hunt them, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think that the AVP movies are kind of like their own separate universe. It has some shared lore, but it's definitely kind of like an offshoot. And I'm not even up to date on the Predator movies because I know there was a new one and I have access to watch it, but I have not seen it yet.
Prey?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched that one too. I was thinking actually, because yeah, when you and I briefly talked before about going through the Alien and Predator movies, and I wanted to do them in chronological order, but you had pointed out that that would basically mean starting with the Predator, but all of the Predator and AVP movies before you even get to the Alien movies. So, and I wanted to talk about this one because it's actually a scary one for Halloween, but I was thinking that would be cool to kind of go in somewhat chronological order and skip back and forth between the Alien and Predator series. And that would mean that chronologically, the first one should actually be in the entire series of both Predator and Alien should be that newest one, Prey, because it's set in, I think, the 1700s, because it takes place because the hero character is this native girl. So that'd be an interesting one to talk about too, because there's all this fuss about it being woke and shit like that. And in my opinion, it's not like super cringy woke. Other than there's one scene where this teenage girl takes 5 guys in hand-to-hand combat. That was pretty fucking ridiculous. But other than that, for the most part, she and all the other human characters are trying to outsmart the Predator, and she has to outsmart her other enemies because she can't beat them physically. So that makes sense that way.
Okay. So, but if it was a guy beating 5 dudes, it would be fine. Does she actually like a warrior or something, or she just kind of just randomly beats up 5 people?
Well, she's a medicine woman who wants to be a warrior, and her brother, who's a warrior, kind of takes her on trips and teaches her some fighting techniques sometimes. So, but it seems
to beat up 5
it seems
people.
like she's had pretty fucking minimal training and definitely not enough to beat 5 guys. So I would buy it a lot more if it were actually native warrior guy who took down 5. He's fighting like some 5 French guys who have come to, I think, capture some natives or something. I don't remember exactly.
Were they like sober or were they drunk?
No, they were sober.
See, they should have just made them all like drunk, and it would have been believable to some extent.
Yeah, that would have worked. That would have worked better.
You can't have like someone who's a medicine woman all of a sudden like kicking ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it's
but
cool
yeah,
that all the Predator movies, none of them are really like futuristic. It's like they're bringing futuristic technology to contemporary settings. And usually aliens is you're already in a futuristic setting far off in the future.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
It's weird when they meet up. Like I guess what's the only time they really meet up is an AVP 1 and actually 2 as well.
Yeah.
There's only 2 AVP movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, AVP 1 tries to be like serious about itself, and AVP 2 they just kind of throw that out the window, and it's just like a super campy like horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the first one more too because they build all of this mythology of the history of the aliens and predators.
Yeah, and I like that like the original Lance Henriksen is there playing himself, and like
Yeah,
we find
that's
out that
cool.
all the bishops are like copies of him.
Yeah, that's cool because we see Lance Henriksen first in Aliens. We know from AVP is a robot version of the original Wayland who started Wayland Industries, and we see him dying in AVP, and then we see Wayland, another clone of Wayland, I guess, in Alien 3, which is it's interesting that they do that.
Yeah, I need to go and watch all of these movies again. They're great
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, they're really good movies. They always hold up too. Although I'm not a huge fan of Predator 2. I think it's a big step down from the first one, and some of it has some kind of cheesy 80s campiness, but
I
it's
think it's
still
okay. I
it's
think it's
still
funny.
still worth watching. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
I mean,
funny.
there's some campiness in the Arnold one too, of course, because it's Arnold, so he has to have catchphrases and shit like that. But
Right.
the second one seems more so. I was gonna
You
say too,
son of
another
a
thing.
bitch.
Yeah, exactly. And they do that arm clasp and they're flexing their muscles as hard as possible and practically arm wrestling
Yeah.
as they clamp hands.
And then you
Yeah.
have Governor of Minnesota.
Oh
He's
yeah,
in
Jesse
there.
Ventura. Yeah.
And
He's
all is awesome Carl Weathers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The only movies I've seen him in are Predator and Happy Gilmore. So those are like two
Yeah,
completely different
Carl
roles of his.
Weathers?
Yeah.
You haven't watched the Rocky movies?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, yeah. He's the hell is his name? But yeah,
Apollo
yeah, definitely.
Creed.
I totally forgot that I've seen him in those. Yeah. Well,
And he
actually, all
also
three of
plays
those are really different.
he plays a decently sized role in The Mandalorian as well.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's again on my endless list of shows to watch.
And I think he
I
was
was.
also on the show called Heroes. I don't know if you've watched that show before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that. I'm not sure if I've seen all the episodes because I know it got canceled and then it came back for I think 2 seasons and then it got canceled again, and I don't think I watched it after it started again after the second time it got canceled. So I think I might have not seen maybe one or two of the newest seasons.
Like I didn't finish the first series, and I know like when it came back, it was called like Heroes Reborn or something, and I think I watched like the first 2 episodes of that, and I
Oh,
never
okay.
like continued with it.
Was
I
it
thought like
bad?
Hero was like my favorite character in the show because he's just so weird and quirky.
Yeah, I'm not sure who my favorite character is. I should rewatch that show because it's really good.
Yeah, I think oh, you know what? Actually, my favorite character is Noah, the guy with no superpowers.
The artist guy?
No, Noah is the cheerleader's dad.
Oh yeah, because it turns out that he's involved with that like evil company that is involved with some sort of conspiracy with the heroes. It's been so long I watched it that's all I remember about him. It turns out that he's done some pretty dark shit.
Yeah, he's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's good. And I like Hayden Panettiere, the cheerleader, and also I forget what her name is, but that chick played by Ali Larder, just because they're both hot.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think her power was like her character got weird. Like
She
she
had
had a
some
split
sort of
personality or something.
yeah. She had some sort of evil split personality, and I think she had super strength.
Yeah,
Or
there was
something
a
like
point
that.
where she had super strength, and then she had like Elsa from Frozen's powers or something like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh,
show
so
got weird in later seasons.
yeah, it did start. I like that time travel stuff. That was some of that happened was some of my favorite stuff that happened, and that heavily involved that plot with Hero and that blonde guy whose character's name I forget, who I already knew from that show Alias.
Yeah, he goes back to Japan.
Yeah.
Like back to old times.
And then we see some dystopian future at one part too, which is interesting as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like how they paint some characters as, oh, they must be doing something nefarious, and then you find out that they're actually like saving the world. As I know there was a point where they're, oh, Hero's gone bad. Look what he did. And then like they kind of resolve that plot by showing that, oh, there's some weird time stuff going on here. As I know there's like a future hero and he speaks like perfect English.
Yeah, and he's more badass.
Yeah, he's like wearing a leather jacket and he uses like the katana, like with efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, actually, this would be a good way to tie back into the Alien series, right? Because the Alien movies jump around in time a lot too, kind of like how the Predator movies do. We see after the first Alien, I think if I remember correctly, it's somewhere around 60 years that Ripley has been in suspended hibernation, and she gets picked up by that ship, and then I think not much time at all passes between 2 and 3, but then she dies and then she comes back as a clone of herself in Alien Resurrection. So that's interesting. And then, of course, in the prequels, they take place way before the original Alien movie.
Yeah, I think in part two she comes back and it's like kind of depressing because her daughter's like an old woman and she's like younger than her own daughter. Did the daughter, was she still alive in the beginning of Aliens or was she dead?
I don't remember for sure. I seem to remember that she was alive but old, like you said at first there. But yeah, I don't remember for sure. I'm
Because I
gonna
remember she saw
look
like a
that up.
video of her daughter, like, and she was old.
I'm gonna Google that. Is Ripley's daughter alive in Alien 2? I totally forgot about that until you mentioned it. It just
I think her
says
only friend is a cat or something like that.
it says she was alive but old and crippled. And Ripley contacts her from Gateway Station, and her daughter blames her for being absent for most of her life. So yeah, she is alive, I guess.
Okay, because I know when they go on those voyages too, it could be like months, and they get put in like cryo sleep.
Yeah, and at the end of Alien, or close to the end of Alien, she thinks that she'll be picked up soon because she's gonna come out when more of the characters are alive before the end of the movie. She says something about how they're going to probably come out or close to this main expressway or whatever you would call it, where a lot of spaceships pass through. So, and then it ends up being more like 60 years instead of right away.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I think your mic that you're using now is a lot louder than the one that you were just using. Yeah, it is a long time.
My professional mic.
It sounds way better.
Yeah,
but
that's what happens when you switch from like a crappy Bluetooth to because this is the new mic I bought from Amazon.
Right, yeah, the one you were telling me about.
Clone.
Okay. That's cool.
But I actually think my other microphone sounds better.
The one you were just using, or your other one?
My other one.
Okay.
This one seems to pick up background noise and stuff. Like it has a good quality, but it doesn't dampen background noise.
Yeah.
And the other one has like a little less quality, but background noise is non-existent.
Yeah, I could hear some of that background noise there.
Yeah, it's my laptop fan just like going crazy.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting in the Alien movies how, well, you especially obviously don't know this in the first one, but the alien and everything to do with it just ends up consuming her entire life to the point that she still has to deal with it even after she gets killed by one of the aliens at the end of Alien 3. And one thing that I think a lot of people should pay more attention to nowadays is she was one of the original great female protagonists in a totally non-woke way before that sort of thing happened very often, before there were very many female protagonists, and she ends up being the only one survives, and ends up being the hero, but she's still like a woman and is feminine in some ways, even though she can be manly and do all the shit that she needs to do, which I think is really cool, because I liked all the original Alien movies, and she just felt like a character. It didn't feel like they were trying to insert a female character in any sort of woke way.
Yeah, because I know in the second movie, they really went in on her femininity by weaving a story around her motherly instincts.
Yeah, with Newt, right? Because she basically becomes kind of like the foster mother for that little girl, Newt, who is in the colony they go to, which they find out has been infested by the aliens.
Right. And, it's not like she's punching aliens in the face. She's trying to survive. It's just kind of a survival. Almost like I would say the second movie is a survival move.
Yeah.
The first one is like, who did it? Who's going on? What's going on? Where's this thing at? And the other one is like, how do we survive?
And in terms of survival, I get what you mean, but in terms of survival, that's why the first one is scarier, because you're stuck on a spaceship with the aliens, so you can't go anywhere unless you die. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, they try to escape in the shuttle and blow up the spaceship that is full of oil that they're hauling, and causes a massive explosion. But the alien has snuck onto the shuttle before Ripley gets away.
Yeah, because it's interesting that the first movie is all about the fear of the unknown. So you have all of these crew members dealing with this menace that they don't know the parameters of. They don't know what it could do. They're trying to figure it out. And by the second movie, Ripley is basically an expert on this thing. And she is being consulted with by the Space Marines on how to deal with it.
Yeah,
so it's
and they bring in some other cool extra shit to do with the aliens, like how they have the alien queen, of course, and Sigourney Weaver has that awesome famous line when she's in that giant mech and she's fighting the alien at the end, and she says, "Get away from her, you bitch."
The power loader, yeah. I have
and they have the I forgot, even though I've seen the movie at least 3 times, I forgot that in the first Alien movie they don't have the alien do that thing where it captures people and then kind of plasters them to a wall with slime. But then I remembered that that wouldn't happen because they do that so that near some of the eggs, so the eggs can burst out of their shells right onto the people's face, and that's why it does plasters them to the wall so they can't resist it.
Yeah, it's such a exciting movie. Like the second movie is definitely more faster paced, and the first movie kind of has like this deliberate type of horror pacing.
Yeah, it's really just suspenseful and unsettling throughout. And yeah, the horror aspects of it work so well because when they're going through the spaceship, so often they're cloaked in shadows and there's shadows all over the place, and then especially near the end when the alien is chasing them, there are always flashing lights all over the place, so it makes it more disorienting and more horrifying, and the alien could pop out anywhere. That's really good. It's really cool that they did that. That's like like we were talking about, one of the main differences between the first one and the second one. The first one, there's only one of them, and they don't have any weapons, and they're not trained with weapons other than the flamethrower and the cattle prod, so they don't have much of a chance against it, and it's lurking in the shadows most of the time. And then in the second one, all these soldiers have to fight back waves of them, and then there's Ripley versus the alien queen and all that shit. So yeah, they're almost totally different types of movies within the same franchise. Like, there's still sci-fi horror, but the first one is way more horror than anything else, and the second one is kind of more action sci-fi.
Right. And I don't know how we would classify. I guess Resurrection is more in the vein of Aliens, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It seems like you were saying, the third one kind of tries to model the first one more and is kind of more horror than action oriented. And then the third one, or I mean the fourth one, Alien Resurrection, yeah, that does seem like more of an action movie because it takes place on a spaceship just like the first one does, but there are multiple aliens, and Sigourney Weaver, because she's a clone, she has like super strength and superpowers, so she has more of a chance facing the aliens too, which is interesting.
She has like some type of hive connection with the alien.
Yeah, that's really interesting too, and how they make this, like, the scientists make this fucked up alien hybrid clone or something, and it sees her as some sort of mother figure, which is really interesting and fucked up.
Right.
But yeah, in the first movie, I'm sure, especially in 1979 when people first saw it, it must have been even more horrifying. Just the the design of the alien as being a xenomorph is really interesting. It almost looks like kind of the way it is so hard to identify. It looks like some kind of cross between an insect and a human or something, but it's really not very humanoid at all, which I think is cool, because especially back up to the 70s, there was more of a perpetuation of the kind of humanoid aliens, the little green Martians or something like that. And this is clearly an alien that's just entirely a parasitic monster out to kill everyone in its path, and its acid is made of blood, and it has that stabby mouth within the mouth that it stabs people with. It's like its tongue is also a mouth that stabs people. That's really fucking scary and cool too.
Yeah, and it has these bony protrusions coming out of its back, and like this tail that looks like a vertebrae with a really sharp tip at the end.
Yeah, and then
the
when it kills Lambert, that makes it even more scary somehow too, that it doesn't have any eyes. When you see the mouth coming out of the darkness at first, when it kills that like engineer guy or whatever, I forget his name, but it's the guy who was working with Parker. But when you first see it come out of the darkness and you see its mouth. It's so scary that way. And yeah, and then later on near the end of the movie, it kills Lambert with that tail. So it uses his tail as a weapon too.
Yeah, the alien's also really wet looking.
Yeah, it looks like it's just perpetually slimy.
Yeah, especially like the mouth parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that its blood is acid, so it makes it so hard to kill, which is why Wayland Industries wants to have it as a bioweapon. That'd be a fun thing to get into more, this whole side plot with Ash, aka evil robot Bilbo Baggins, and Wayland Industries' kind of evil plot to capture the alien and take it back and turn it into a bioweapon. That's an interesting theme that continues throughout all the movies too.
Yeah, Weyland-Yutani is always super evil in each movie.
Mm-hmm. Basically, in the second one, the same sort of thing happens where that super company guy for Weyland-Yutani Industries is trying to do the same sort of thing that Ash was trying to do in the first Alien movie and capture one of the aliens and sacrifice everyone on the planet for it. And then Bishop, and it's interesting, especially since we know that Bishop is a robot version of Wayland, that he turns out being a good guy and helping Ripley try to destroy the aliens, which is obviously the totally opposite of what Ash tried to do in the first movie. So she didn't trust androids in the second movie because of what Ash did in the first movie, but it turns out that she can trust androids, even though, like I said, it's a robot version of the former evil head of the evil corporation.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because we didn't even know that in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another cool aspect of the prequels, that they built that up.
So we forgot to mention, there was a person playing the alien, and he was
because it was
6'10".
creature effects and practical effects, so there was someone in the alien suit the whole time playing the alien. So yeah, that was really cool too, and they did really good job just making the movements all slithery like a snake kind of, and having it lurking and crouching in the shadows and all that kind of stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, the guy that played the alien was 6'10". Born in Nigeria. Yeah,
oh, really?
In the 90s, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And yeah, did it seem to if you had to guess too, like this is just a guess, like I mentioned earlier, do you think all the kind of like their spaceship and shuttle and all the structures on the alien planet and stuff like that seemed like sets that they built combined with miniatures for the spaceship or something like that? I was thinking that because I remember from the special features of the Lord of the Rings movies that they did a lot of that kind of stuff even then too.
Yeah, you'd have to think that because of the absence of certain technologies in 1979, that they would use a lot of miniatures, and miniatures worked well back then.
Yeah,
many
yeah,
movies
they really
used them. You got Star Wars. You had like even going back to Space Odyssey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was going to mention too. It's cool that they had Ash be that evil AI, and it's kind of the trope that was, if I remember correctly, was probably started with 2001, the idea of the AI going wrong and kind of the implicit message of the dangers of artificial intelligence. But in the case of Ash, though, he was just following the company orders. Really, he wasn't kind of a rogue AI, which was what the spaceship turned out to be in 2001.
Yeah, Ash was doing what he was supposed to be doing. In the prequels, you could say that the android went rogue.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender's character, I forget his character's name, but yeah, he goes rogue and turns evil to decides to kill all the humans and preserve the alien as a bioweapon, basically, which is, yeah, he's definitely more nefarious than Ash was, even though their actions seem equally nefarious. The motivations of Ash and Alien are much less so. So you like the kind of the action aspects more about the aliens in the second movie?
Yeah, the second movie just has that quick pacing, you know. I think on the first view of Aliens, that's the pacing works for it because it's a first time watch and you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like coming back to it, the pacing does seem a little bit slow. And I don't know what it is, but sometimes I catch myself falling asleep trying to watch this movie.
Yeah, I get that.
The pacing is a little on the slow side.
Yeah, I mean, similarly again to 2001, kind of like it kind of has that classic sci-fi aspect of more of a slower pace that way. That's why the first time I watched Aliens, for a while, that was my favorite in the franchise too, because it's so fast-paced and action-packed. I just like I would almost say I like the first one and second one equally, because like I said, they're both in the same series, but they're very different movies in some ways, and I think there are pros and cons to both. And I've developed an appreciation for horror much more so in recent years than I used to have. So that's part of why I like the first one now more than I used to, although I still thought it was awesome the first time I watched it.
Yeah, and 2 introduces a lot of iconic like aliens things, like the power loader, the weapons they use, like the smart gun and the pulse rifle.
Yep,
like
definitely.
in all the video games, all of that stuff, as far as like the military hardware, comes from the second movie.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And there are a ton of different aliens video games.
Oh yeah, I had only heard of one before. I didn't know there were so many.
Oh, it's a bunch, man.
Yeah.
There's like a couple Aliens versus Predator games. I know there was an arcade beat 'em up. And there's a couple games from last gen that came out.
Oh,
Some
okay.
of them are horrible. Like I know there's a game called Colonial Marines. Horrible game. It got horrible ratings. I bought it, but the only reason I bought it is because the collector's edition was like $10, and a collector's edition included like a little like 6-inch model of a power loader.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a great price for that.
Yeah, I still have it in my closet. I never opened it.
The AVP ones sound interesting. I bet that would be fun.
Yeah, the AVP one, I used to play that one a lot on the PC. I used to play the second one. So in AVP, you get to play the single player campaign as 3 different characters, and they all have their own campaigns. So you can play as a human. They have their own campaign, like single player campaign. And then you have the alien campaign, and then the Predator. My favorite is the alien. As the alien, you start off as a face hugger.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you have to go stalk somebody and then like face hug them, and then you become a chest burster, and you gotta kind of hide because you're not very strong at all. Like even a cat will fuck you up.
Wow, that would be interesting.
So you have to keep like killing and evolving until you're a full-scale alien.
Oh, okay.
And then it had a multiplayer component where there
Oh,
were
that's
3
pretty cool.
teams. Yeah, you have 3 teams. So you have the alien team, you have a space marine team, and on the predator team, there's only one predator.
Oh, wow. Oh, I bet it would make way more sense and be way more fun to be the alien team.
Oh, my favorite team was the alien team.
Yeah, I bet mine would be too.
As aliens, you don't get any like projectile weaponry, but you can crawl up walls on ceilings and like ambush characters.
Yeah.
My
And you
favorite
get to
one was called a Praetorian.
Okay.
They weren't as agile as the other alien, but the Praetorians were fireproof.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So you could just run up on people and just like slash them to death.
That's pretty cool.
And they had
That's not.
pretty heavy armor, so it would take a lot of bullets to kill it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, especially since the flame is one of the only things that works on the aliens, at least in the first movie, if not other ones too. So that would be a really cool character to play as.
Yeah, so the Praetorian aliens, they're slow. They can't climb on walls or ceilings, but they can take a lot more damage and survive a bit more. They're more of like, you don't have to be as stealthy or crafty. You can just beeline towards enemies and start trying to kill them.
That's pretty cool. So, yeah, it's it's pretty fascinating how quickly the alien grows too, and well, especially after it bursts out of that guy's stomach at first. That's a super well done sequence too, when you see it coming out of his chest, and when you see it first lying there with its tail coiling around itself. That part looked totally realistic too, even though a lot of that, that was probably entirely creature effects. That was really cool. And then it's a very short period of time after it runs away before it kills that first guy. Well, other than the guy whose chest it burst out of, and it's giant, bigger than a man.
Yeah, it's interesting because that scene is kind of a cultural phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Like when other people or movies or shows do parodies or homages, they always do it as a chest burster scene.
Yep, definitely.
So it's like, it's kind of in our cultural consciousness. It's that big of a, because I remember back then when that came out, that chest burster scene was a big deal. Like it was probably one of the more scary and gruesome moments of that movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's totally unexpected too.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's probably the most surprising kill that the alien does in the movie, I bet.
The burst?
The other ones, the other way, and it's the most gruesome and scariest, like you said too. The other kills are still totally surprising though, because it just pops out of the shadows. It pops out of the shadows with Gallus and with that guy whose name I don't remember, and then that's how it kills Lambert and Parker too. And then of course, I guess Lambert, Parker, and Ripley kill Ash once they find out that he's a secret evil android working for the evil corporation. That's it. That's interesting too, because they get so gruesome with the robot, and they make it look kind of human in some way. I mean, they could have done that more so, but they basically, when Ripley's trying to kill Ash and Parker and Lambert come to help her too, it's really violent, and they make it look like the white stuff that coming out of him, they make it spray around as if it looks like white blood. And then it also is his sweat when he's sweating when Ripley is about to confront him for secretly sacrificing the crew. That whole sequence is really interesting too.
Yeah, because I know all the androids bleed like that. I remember when Bishop gets cut in half, it's like all this white fluid coming out. I think they called it like electrolytes or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting too, that Ash confirms that he admires the alien basically because it's a perfect monstrous killing machine, because it's so difficult to kill and it's so good at killing anything and everyone.
Yeah, that's interesting because a Resident Evil franchise has the same type of corporate motive where they're trying to use this virus to bioengineer the perfect weapon. But in this case, in the future, they found the perfect weapon, and they have to figure out how to tame it or bring it under their control.
Yeah, instead of creating zombies by trying to defy aging. Yeah. The problem that that Wayland should have figured out in the first place is that these fuckers are way too unpredictable and difficult to control, and they end up killing everyone if you try to capture them.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a deal where you're supposed to breed these things, drop them on a colony, and then that wipes out the colony.
Yeah, that would work if they had done that sort of thing on purpose. That coincidentally happened in Aliens, and they dropped a whole bunch of them on a planet to wipe them out, like you said.
But then again, it's almost like nuclear fallout, because you can't really go back to that planet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a kind of a fire and forget.
Yep. Yeah, you would have to want to destroy everything and, like you said, never come back there. And that's a
might
big.
As well just use nukes.
Yeah, exactly. That would be way easier to handle than Aliens. And yeah, you'd have to. That's a giant risk too, because you'd have to know that you would never want to use that planet for anything ever again, not to colonize or to use to grow crops or even use as a prison planet or something like that, as we see in Alien 3.
Yeah, and what if like somebody just like goes to that planet and say, "Oh, let me see if I can salvage some shit," and then little do they know they have a stowaway, and they bring it to another planet or colony.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very impractical.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You would think that, like this giant corporation would come up with some other sort of technological weapon that would be much more easy to control than using the alien as a bioweapon.
You'd think so. But yeah, you gotta have a movie. Even if the plots are kind of ridiculous or the motives are kind of ridiculous.
Oh, that makes me think of that channel pitch meeting. I should see if they did a video on this. Have you heard of that channel? They do kind of it's this one guy who basically does parodies of pitching scripts of major blockbuster movies to a Hollywood producer, and he cuts back and forth because it's actually this one guy talking to himself, and one party's playing the writer and another party's playing the producer, and it's entirely sarcastic, so it's pointing out plot holes and shit like that. It's hilarious.
Yeah, you've posted a couple videos in our chat groups with
Yeah.
that. Yeah, they're pretty fun.
Yeah, Yeah, a lot of them, and that guy has some catchphrases too. Like something that seems like it should be really difficult in a movie ends up being super easy. He says something like, "Oh, so did they have to did he have to do lots of training throughout the movie? And there's this big training montage to teach him how to use his powers and use the weapons to be able to defeat this big boss battle bad guy? Is it a really challenging thing in spite of that too?" No, not at all. Barely an inconvenience. Basically just chops his head off. Doesn't even really fight back. No big deal. That's his catchphrase. Not at all. Barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, that's a channel worth checking out.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I bet they comment on that aspect of using the alien as a bioweapon when other options would make a lot more sense if he's covered that one.
Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do with the alien because in any of the movies they never successfully use it for anything. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah. I guess in Alien Resurrection, they've managed to create some sort of fucking weird alien hybrid clone, but it ends up like Ripley ends up having to kill it anyway because it's just as hostile as the other aliens.
Yeah, it's a weird human hybrid.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite aspect or favorite part of the movie, and what is your favorite part of the alien itself?
Favorite part of the movie, certainly chest burster scene. My other favorite is when Ripley's made it to her ship and she's just wearing underwear.
Yeah, that's an
Like,
iconic scene
goddamn,
too.
it's like this underwear is like barely covers her snatch. It's like it's showing her vag root. I guess if you're going into Joe Rogan terms, like her
Yeah,
vagina root is visible.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can see her crack when she turns around too.
But yeah, my favorite aspect of the alien is that for most of the movie, you don't get a good look at it.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think that
definitely one
makes
of my
it much
favorite
more
aspects
scary.
too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that too, and I don't know whether the chest burster scene is my favorite part or the part when we first see the first fully grown alien when it kills that guy and it kills it with its tongue mouth thing. And
Yeah, and then
I guess
finding
that
out about the blood
the
is pretty
tongue mouth
crazy.
thing is my favorite part of the alien itself too. Well, that and the fact that it has acid blood. I think those are the coolest aspects of it.
Yeah, I think the acid blood is like makes it super dangerous. It's
Yeah,
well, you can't just kill the thing. Like it's going to if you're in a spaceship or something, it's going to eat through the spaceship and you're going to be done for. Because I remember when they first, like the blood first comes out, it eats through like a couple floors in the ship. I was like, holy shit, this is some major crazy ass blood.
yeah, exactly. And they thought it was going to eat all the way through the hull of the ship at first too, right?
Yeah, because it went through multiple floors, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's so that's another fascinating aspect of the alien, that if its blood is that dangerous, it would have to have evolved in such a unique way to be able to survive with acidic blood circulating throughout its body without melting itself from the inside out.
Well, we know that acids will break down certain materials, but not all materials. Like
Yeah,
we
so
know that if you put
maybe it's
acid, like certain acids in a glass jar, it won't do anything to the glass jar. But if you put it on metal, it starts eating away at it. And I think it has
there are
something to
different
do with
types
like
of
the
acid
oxygen
too.
content.
And then also, from Breaking Bad, that if you put a dead body into a specific type of plastic barrel, then you can dissolve the body with acid without destroying the plastic barrel.
All right. So I know there's like certain materials. I know metal in general is susceptible to acid. And so as far as like inorganic materials, and most organic materials are susceptible to acid. So it's like flesh, bone, stuff like that. So that makes me think, what are the aliens' innards made out of? It must be some weird molecular makeup where they can have this crazy acid blood and not be affected by it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. It had to have had some sort of really unique, evolved in such a unique way to have inner internal organs and everything that the blood would circulate through, like its veins and stuff, that wouldn't melt from this acidic blood, especially since it's organic material, and that is much more likely to be dissolved by acid, like you said.
Yeah, and it's even the lowest version of life. Like the face hugger has the acid blood. It goes from the face hugger to like the big old queen alien. So every single version of this beast. So it's weird because it's almost closer to an insect than it is to like a mammal, because one, they hatch from eggs. Two, they kind of go through these metamorphic states. So, I do think that also plays a good deal on, the creepy factor, because they have these bug-like qualities to them. But exactly. They have 4 limbs like a human mammal.
Yeah, I was saying something about that earlier. It's kind of like sort of a cross between an insect and a human in some ways, but it's much more insect-like than humanoid. It can walk upright on 2 legs, but it can walk on all 4s, like you were saying too. And then its body has all these protrusions and stuff like that you said, and it has a really super oversized, elongated head with that weird tongue mouth thing, and then a giant tail too. And like you said, it starts off as an egg and changes forms into that crawly face hugger thing, and then becomes the giant xenomorph parasitic alien.
And it's weird too, because it doesn't have an exoskeleton, it's an internal skeleton, so it's not, it doesn't share that aspect with insects or bugs.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because that's part of what makes it look so spindly on the outside of it.
Yeah, so it definitely has bones. We've seen these bones in at least in the Predator movies.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then we see, and like even some aspects of the alien's body are effective weapons, like you were saying, and that was reminding me of how in the first AVP movie, that woman who ends up being a warrior working with the Predator, he basically gives her one of the dead aliens' tails as a spear and its head as a shield, which is a pretty cool and effective use of those.
Man, I completely forgot about that. I've only seen that movie a couple times. That's one of the ones I went in the theater to see when it came out. I remember liking it when I saw it. I was like not disappointed.
Yeah,
Not like the setting was kind of strange, but I did like all the action and seeing like predators fight aliens. I thought that was pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Just that aspect, the aliens fighting predators, was super cool. Did you think the setting was odd because it was this random pyramid in Antarctica?
Yeah, exactly. It's so strange.
Yeah.
It's super weird. Like, oh yeah, we have this ruins inside of like an iceberg or some shit. I was like, oh, that's a kind of weird setting.
Yeah. And it's such a deep underground pyramid too. I mean, one thing that's cool about that is that it makes it scarier because of there's aspect that they're out in the cold in the middle of nowhere and deep underground, which kind of builds a similar atmosphere to the first one, and like even basically all of them in various ways, that you're kind of isolated and trapped and can't really get away very easily. That basically is a common theme in all of the Alien movies in different ways.
That and they have death traps.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Ancient death trap.
Yeah, that's cool. That's kind of like an Indiana Jones aspect of the movie, adding that to the AVP movies.
Mm-hmm.
And was there in AVP the Predator has that net that kind of cuts into you as you move, right? Was that, I don't know, I just randomly thought of that. Was that the first time we saw it use that weapon? Does it use it in the first two Predator movies?
I remember a net in Predator 2, but okay. I'm not sure if it like cut into anything.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we should talk about the Predator more when we talk about those movies, but it has really cool weapons too. And of course, they're much more technological and less biological than the Aliens' weapons, which is what makes it cool when they fight, because it's big and strong and humanoid, but it doesn't have acid blood or a tail or a tongue mouth, and it's not all insect-like. It can crawl on ceilings and shit like that, but it has this tiny cannon attached to its wrist and all these awesome bladed weapons and invisibility and cool shit like that.
Like, I'm checking on the net gun, and it makes an appearance. Its first appearance is in Predator 2.
Okay, cool.
And it shows up in AVP 1 and 2 and Prey.
And what?
And Prey.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't remember it in that one. Okay.
And they say in the AVP 2, it doesn't appear to have the cutting ability that
that's interesting.
That it has in the other movies.
Okay. Oh, did you say that you haven't seen? Is that movie Prey the only Predator movie that you haven't seen, or did you say that you haven't seen a couple of the newer ones?
I haven't seen Prey. I have seen AVP 2.
Did you see the other two Predator movies after Predator 2? Or after AVP 2, I mean, and Predator 2? There's Predators and The Predator.
Oh shit. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah. They're good. One Predators is about a whole bunch of mercenaries basically that get kidnapped and dropped off on a predator planet where it just goes to hunt. So they've been kidnapped and dropped off on a predator planet to be hunted by a predator. And then in the newest one after that, The Predator, which I think only came out like maybe sometime within the last 4 years.
Yeah,
it's in that one. Yeah, in that one, the Predator comes to Earth, and a whole bunch of criminals basically have to try and fight it. And then they introduce this other like uber mutant Predator, which is even stronger than the regular Predator. Those ones are pretty good. I still like the original Predator movie the most out of all the Predator movies, although that one, Predators, is pretty good too, I think. And the AVP movies, of course, are awesome.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check those ones out then.
Yeah, they're definitely worth watching. I think we were talking.
Services.
I think when we were talking before, I was saying that I can watch all the Alien and Predator movies on Disney Plus, but you can't, if I remember correctly. So maybe that's a thing in Canada, but not the US for some reason. Is that do I remember that correctly?
I don't believe Predator's on Disney Plus in the US.
Okay. I'm pretty sure all of the Alien and all of the Predator movies are on Disney Plus for me. And the AVP movies too.
Maybe it's just not in the US. I'm checking there on Hulu. Maybe I can watch it on Hulu. Well, I could for sure watch Prey on Hulu.
Okay.
But I don't know about
I
the
watched
other
Prey.
Predator movies.
I think I watched Prey on Disney Plus too.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Huh. As I think in the US, they put all the rated R stuff on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
As Hulu and Disney Plus is the same company, I believe.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if we have Hulu in Canada or it's just one of the ones that I don't have, and no one no one who I know has it, so I don't have access to an account.
Okay.
There are far too many streaming services.
Yeah, I need to cut down. I probably need to do is once I'm finished with my Audible, I need to cancel it.
Yeah, I did that a long time ago because I was basically just paying $15 a month to have that one free credit, and I wanted to stop having so many expenses. And I can most of the books that I read, whether they're physical books or audiobooks, are either free or ones that I got a long time ago. So I don't have to pay for that many of the books that I read. And $15 for one book for a month is actually a lot more than I usually spend on books.
True. One of the reasons I'm keeping Audible for now is because they offer free content. That's part of the membership.
Yeah, they do. I remember that now that you mention it, yeah.
I'm consuming some of that content right now. There's like this entire Japanese course that they have on it. So I've been consuming that. I think once I'm done with it, that's when I'll think about canceling my Audible subscription.
Yeah, there's some cool Audible originals that you can only get on there. I haven't had an Audible account in a few years, so I haven't experienced any of them, but there were a bunch of them that I listened to when I could. There was one that was a history of World War II, and there was one of many that I think was an Audible exclusive rather, which was by John Ronson, who wrote those books, The Psychopath Test and The Men Who Stare at Goats. It was called The Butterfly Effect, and it was his book studying the porn industry and how much technology has changed it and all that kind of stuff. That was a really interesting one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, another thing I have to do before I finish up with my membership is use all my credits. I have to figure out what I'm going to use those for. But we'll see.
How many do you have?
Like 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, or use those wisely.
Yeah, I have to use them for Audible exclusives. There's one thing I noticed, that there are audiobooks that aren't allowed to be in a library.
The Audible exclusives?
Audible exclusives. Like, for instance, I believe the King Killer Chronicles, you will not find the audiobooks in any library.
Oh, really?
Also, yeah. I have not found any of the audiobooks for The Sword of Truth in any library.
Oh,
I think
wow.
these are Audible exclusives.
I found, I think you can find all, if not most, of the Sword of Truth books on YouTube. Someone put them on there, and I think someone did that with the King Killer books as well.
Yeah. So, well, I
And
think the
so with
rest
some
of
of them,
the credits,
with some of the, sorry, go ahead.
I think I was going to spend them on Malazan.
Okay, cool. So how many Malazan books are there again? There are 10 or
I think there's 10 of the main series, and then there's like another series that has 10 additional.
wow. Yeah, that's one of those that I really want to get into soon, and I was planning to this year. I always plan on getting into so many different series per year, and I usually get to most of them. I've gotten to most of the ones that I've wanted to get to this year, like Harry Potter and rereading Harry Potter and reading Chronicles of Narnia for the first time, and those ones by John le Carré and the George Smiley series. I read those Resident Evil novelizations of the games and at least a few others. And I want to at least start Malazan and King Killer before the end of the year too.
Mm.
And I have a copy of the first one of each of those books, or the first book in each of those series, rather.
All right, it's on Hulu. AVP, the first movie, and The Predator are not on it. For it looks like you need additional subscriptions for that.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, well, I can always find it somewhere else.
Yeah. Super secret website.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, was there anything else to do with Alien that you wanted to discuss? I guess we pretty much discussed most of the main and most important and interesting elements of it, and along with the movie itself in relation to the sequels.
Yeah, there's a game that best captures the feel of the first movie. It is
Sweet.
called Alien Isolation.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I might have heard of that one, but I definitely haven't played it.
Yeah, you're stuck on a space station, and you are Ripley's daughter.
Oh, interesting.
It's cool. It's like a story that happens while Ripley's in cryostasis. So you're her daughter. You're trying to investigate why she went missing, and you go back to the abandoned Nostromo, which is also attached to the space station.
Exists?
What's that?
It still exists in the game?
Yeah, Nostromo still exists.
Okay.
Did it get blown up in the first movie?
Yeah, it gets blown up at the end of the first Alien movie. Remember, Ripley escapes it in the space shuttle, and the alien hitches a ride at the end of the movie, and that's the scene where she's in her underwear before she discovers that the alien snuck on board.
Maybe I have it wrong then. I think maybe the Nostromo was like a bonus DLC or something.
Okay.
Let me see what ship you go on.
Okay.
You play as Amanda Ripley.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting. When I looked it up just not long ago, it said that Ellen Ripley's daughter is Amanda Ripley, but she's not a named character in Aliens. They just refer to her as her daughter.
Oh, I see what happened. All right, so the plot is the black box of the Nostromo gets recovered by another ship called the Sevastopol. And
it survives a nuclear blast.
The black box?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Okay.
So it gets recovered by another ship, and I guess that ship goes like radio silent. And Amanda Ripley goes to investigate and recover the flight recorder to find out what happened to her mom.
Okay.
But when you go on this
that sounds
ship,
interesting.
There is a single alien on it.
Okay. Yeah, I bet that sounds like a really fun game.
Yeah, it's it's pretty crazy. Like
I never really got into playing horror games that much, but I bet they would be really fun, especially for me now because I love horror a lot more than I used to. Like the Silent Hill games and the Resident Evil games, for example.
Yeah, the Silent Hill games are really freaky.
I bet. I know I love the first movie, even though I never have played the games. I watched the second movie and it wasn't as good, but it's still worth watching in my opinion. But the first movie is horrifying. That's a really good horror movie.
Yeah, the first movie is loosely based off of the second game.
Okay.
But from what I heard, they're actually entirely remaking Silent Hill 2 for current generation. Yeah, they're remaking the whole game.
Oh yeah, I heard something about that. I think I might have seen Daniel Green talking about that.
Yeah, so that's going to be good. I think Silent Hill 2 is the best Silent Hill game.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, there are all sorts of fucking terrifying monsters in Silent Hill.
Yeah, so a lot of those monsters from the movies, at least the first Silent Hill one, those are all in Silent Hill 2.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
like the Pyramid Head guy, that's definitely Silent Hill 2.
That would be a great movie to do a movie chat on some point too.
Mm-hmm.
And it has Boromir.
Oh, I forgot I had Boromir. That's right. He's the main character. And he doesn't die.
Yeah, that's true.
Sean Bean.
Yep. He survives.
You cannot simply walk into Mordor.
Yeah, which became a massive meme.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
Or one does not simply fill in the blank.
Yes, it's an epic original meme back from the olden days.
Yep. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss to do with Alien?
No, if you love Alien, at least the first movie, a game you ought to try is Alien Isolation. That is a video game version of the experience of the first Alien movie.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. What systems can you play that on? Is it a newer one?
You can play it on. I think you can play it as far back as Xbox 360, but it also came out on the Xbox One, PC, and I believe it's also on PlayStation platform.
I think I cut out. I got kicked out for. No, my internet went out for a second, so I missed what you said there.
Oh, so I just said that availability for Alien Isolation. You could get on PC for sure. The earliest platform you can get it on is Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, which means it's also on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I have it for Xbox One.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, that sounds like a fun game to play.
Yeah, I never beat it. I need to get back into that game. It's one of those games you got to play alone. You got to be by yourself. All the lights have to be turned off.
Right.
Because it does this really ingenious thing. Ingenious. One of the things they did is there's a peripheral that comes with the Xbox called a Kinect.
Okay.
And what they do is they use the noise that you make as a trigger for the alien finding you.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So if the alien pops up and you see it, like down the hall or something, you have to find a hiding place quick, and then you have to be quiet.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense that you would want to play it with other people in the room.
Yeah, someone says something, the alien just like jerks its head towards your direction, and then you're done.
Like, did you remember to pick up milk after work? Ah!
Yeah. But you can turn that feature off if you want.
Okay. That would be so much cooler with it on, especially if you're playing it alone in the dark at night, like you said.
Yeah, I played with it on. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, if you don't have the wherewithal to go and get it, there's probably some playthroughs you can check out and see how that game functions.
Oh yeah, I should check that out. Yeah, see if anyone did that on YouTube. I bet someone has.
Oh, there's probably a ton. Like even I have Alien Isolation playthrough on my other channel.
Huh? I think your audio cut out for a second there.
Oh, I was saying that even I have a Alien Isolation playthrough. It's on one of my other channels.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know you had multiple channels.
Yeah, it's the Strider Yoko channel.
Oh, okay. I knew that was your other user. I didn't know you had a... I guess it makes sense that you would have a channel associated with it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's just my video game channel.
Oh, okay. Cool. I don't think you've mentioned that to me before.
What the hell?
What?
This is interesting.
What?
Oh. I just entered my name on a YouTube search.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding a bunch of music that I made that someone has uploaded.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's weird.
This is strange.
Yeah.
But the videos only have like 9 views, so it's like nothing.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Weird.
Yeah, that is weird. All right. Well, for everyone watching, thanks for watching. This was a fun little chill discussion about Alien. And like I said, I wanted to watch it because it's one of my favorite horror movies. It's in my opinion, the greatest classic sci-fi horror movie. And yeah, it's awesome. And thanks, Dusty, for talking with me about it. Fun as always. And yeah, check it out if you haven't seen it. Probably most of you watching this have. And check out all of the other movies. They're all good to varying degrees, and many of them are awesome. Some, like Aliens, perhaps even better than this one. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. Click that like button, share this everywhere, click that bell to be notified when I come out with new videos. Check out the videos that I've been doing with Dusty and Tristram on the new Rings of Power episodes, and the ones that Dusty and Chris and I have been doing on the House of the Dragon show. And hopefully next week, if that works out with Chris and if that's cool with you, Dusty, we can talk about the last 4 or so episodes of House of the Dragon, episodes 7 to 10. Although I might do kind of a solo video on episode 7, but we probably would still get into episodes 7 through 10 if we can next weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I just
Sweet.
had to watch episode 10.
Sweet. Yeah, I think it's a great season finale. Yeah, so check all that stuff out, everyone, and check out my Patreon link. The link is in the description of the video. As always, the funk cures all, groove is in the heart. I love you all. Keep being the tiny beam of light that shines through the almost impenetrable darkness in the universe. Sci-fi horror is awesome, and the alien movies in particular. And yeah, thanks everyone. And anything else you want to say before we ended there, Dusty?
That's all. I did a video review of A Ranger's Apprentice, if you want to check that out.
Yes.
This week I'm going to do a review of Malazan, the first book. Probably going to do that one shortly, so that'll be out soon as well.
All right. Yeah, check that out, and check out Dusty's channel and other chats that we've done there as well. Woke Centrist. And yeah, thanks again, everyone, and adios until next time.
Alrighty.